Now, he has starred in some of TV's biggest dramas, from Happy Valley and Trigger Point to Game of Thrones. And now Mark Stanley is starring in ITV drama A Cruel Love. That is the story of Ruth Ellis, the last woman to be sentenced to death in the UK. So here to tell us why it was such an important story to tell, please welcome Mark Stanley. To say, as you sat down, Mark, I thought this is really disconcerting because you've been in every big drama that I've ever watched in the last 5 years, and you just sat down. I thought, oh, it's him. It's him. But in A Cruel Love, you play the part of Ruth Stanley's other lover, not the one that she shot. And Ruth Ellis. What did I say?
You said Stanley.
My name.
Did I? Yeah. I told you it was disconcerting.
I thought, oh, we came back to her like before she was married.
I'm so sorry. Ruth Ellis's other lover.
Yeah.
And this is about her backstory, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
You know, to try and fill out who the woman was.
Yeah, I think what we've tried to do with the drama is uncover a few things that haven't previously been looked at. So root causes of her behaviour and things like that. Because I think the story at the time was, one of sensationalism, and everybody built this thing up, but actually she was someone who had been treated really quite badly by the world, and then by our judicial system. And I think what we've tried to do with the drama is turn over a few stones that haven't been looked under before.
Yeah, because the complexity of it at the time was that she did admit to it, didn't she? It's not like it's a grey area, did she or did she not do it? She says, yes, I did do it. But then it's all the whole sort of thing that we look at now about coercive control and what actually pushed her into it in the first place. Yeah,
and that's what we've tried to look at. So, without drawing too much attention to it, but like my character, for instance, is that sort of missing piece that in previous dramas we haven't looked at and sort of, put under the microscope.
And his influence on her, and a lot, we look back now and it looks like in today's world, people would go, what was his role, and maybe implicate him in some way. But he got off scot-free, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, in the drama, we do put a light on it that he knew people within what was kind of an old boys club in the judicial system. If you had friends that were barristers or whatever, you could sway people's judgments and you could get yourself out of tight spots. So, for instance, everything that we did in the court scenes were verbatim.
Oh, wow.
So you can see just how minimally my character was used. He was brought in, asked about 4 questions and then left.
Yeah.
And actually, he knew someone who was within, within that system. So, and he got away sort of scot-free.
So what impression then did you form of Ruth Ellis? Because she was a murderer. She did kill the guy.
Yeah.
So having, done the drama, what kind of woman are you left with?
I think that she was someone who... I empathise with her, but I don't sympathise. I think I'd be a bit condescending to sympathise for her because she was someone who really came under a lot of duress from her environment and certainly from the men that she was surrounded by. She was absolutely manipulated in so many ways. But equally, she knew where to... for instance, with my character, David Blakely was someone who was, very abusive towards her, took advantage of her, used her position in the club that she worked in and things like that. Whereas actually for my character, she equally used him in that way. She needed a leaning post as well. Yeah. And so she sort of found someone who was financially viable, who was reliable, who was obsessed with her. And so I think... the manipulation worked a little bit both ways, but there's no doubt about it, she came under a massive amount of...
And I suppose that's survival coming out, isn't it? How to survive and how to...
Yeah.
And we've got so much more understanding, haven't we? Like Jane says, we've got words like coercive control and all these things that... And we were just chatting and saying, we've got all these new laws and rules and regulations, but behind closed doors, is it really that different for women? I don't know. I mean, I hope so, but things feel really bad out there.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, you were also in Adolescence, the drama that everyone's talking about worldwide. And again, it's shining a light on the relationships between men and women, young girls and young boys. Were you surprised by the response that Adolescence has had?
Yeah, I mean, the writing at the time, when I read it, it was just so good. And it was really, like I said, like just shining a light on something which... is definitely a conversation that needs to be had. And I think it also sort of fed into the blind spots of parenting that people generationally haven't always been able to identify.
He was in his bedroom. I thought he was safe.
Thought he was just playing on his Xbox or whatever, and actually he's...
And what about the filming of it? Because obviously that is as much of a fascination as the story itself.
Yeah.
Was it like doing a play? Because it was if anyone hasn't seen it, it's one shot, isn't it, from beginning to end? So you've got to like hit all the points, whatever. How many times do you do it? You did like 10 of them or something, and then they picked the best?
We rehearsed for 2 weeks. First week was just us actors, then we dressed in supporting artists, and we worked out the camera movements by then, and then on the third week you shoot it, but you do 2 takes a day. The filming week isn't actually that much hard work. I mean, it is, everyone's acting their socks off.
But you're ready.
You know, like there's some amazing performances that come out.
Yours being one of them,
oh,
fantastic.
Thanks very much, yeah. But, you know, for little Owen Cooper, for instance, you know, I think he was on this morning, actually, this morning. He, to watch him take on something, so you do 2 hours, you do 2 takes a day, 5 days a week, but they can only be an hour long. Yeah. There's no edit, and Netflix requests that it has to be an hour. Yeah. So we know that we do an hour, have 4 hours off while they review it, and then do another one. So and I think we got it in a second take or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so
that's great.
So that's so stressful. Imagine forgetting a line and you've done like 40 minutes and you forget your line.
I know, exactly. That's all I kept thinking all the way through it. I could hardly breathe.
A Game of Thrones you were in. I mean, as Kay said, you see, I'm now thinking, my God, I feel like I've seen you in everything. Is there any role that you've said no to that you wish you'd said yes to?
No, I don't think so.
Or do you just say yes to everything?
Such an actor's answer.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, getting to a place where, you know, scripts might come through and you might have an opinion on them, but a lot of time the question's asked, you know, like, why did you take this role? And a lot of actors sit there and they come up with an answer, but the truth is, like, it's the only one that was on offer. You know?
Well, you've just been in something that has just really shifted the dial in the world. Everyone's talking about across the world, and we're just so grateful.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
And also, A Cruel Love. A Cruel Love, the Ruth Ellis Story, is available on ITVX now. Thanks so much, Mark.